More tonight, Kentucky lawmakers say they have spent a large amount of time in this session closing the gap that lets sexual offenders stay working in schools or move to new ones. An arrest this week. The case of a Bardstown High School former substitute teacher accused of sexual abuse is reminding the community of a similar betrayal of trust. Wave News reporter Meredith Lee looked into the pattern of misconduct and the tools legislators wanted to use to stop it. Meredith.
Yeah, what's striking about these cases of educator sexual misconduct isn't just how many there are, it's also what Kentucky is and isn't doing to make sure it doesn't happen again.
31-year-old Mary Hannah Mattingly is the latest Kentucky educator facing charges of sexual abuse involving a student. Bardstown police say the substitute teacher had sexual contact with the student and sent the student partially nude photos. She is the second person connected to Bardstown High School to face claims like this. Jeremy Dale, a former Bardstown City Schools employee, was sentenced last year for abusing students during their senior year. In Louisville, former JCPS coach Christopher Morris was sentenced in March to 70 years in prison, the maximum allowed by law, convicted on 29 counts involving 2 boys he coached. Also in Jefferson County, a DuPont manual theater teacher remains under federal investigation and is accused of distributing child sexual abuse material. Kentucky Youth Advocates has tracked this rise for years and says the numbers tell a troubling story.
What we've seen, especially over the last couple of years, is an increase in the number of students speaking out about sexual misconduct or sexual abuse at the hands of a school employee. We know also, unfortunately, that over 70% of victims typically do not disclose that abuse has occurred within the last 5 years.
In Kentucky, KYA says 61% of teachers who lost their licenses between 2016 and 2021 lost them because of sexual misconduct. This session, lawmakers filed several bills targeting the problem, from criminalizing grooming to banning secret settlements to overhauling how misconduct is investigated. 2 have already reached the governor's desk. House Bill 4 makes grooming a criminal offense for the first time in Kentucky, passing both chambers without a single no vote. House Bill 253 bans schools from using non-disclosure agreements to cover up misconduct and sets new standards to stop offenders from jumping from school to school.
Without appropriate and pretty severe intervention with an adult who is perpetrating sexual abuse on minors, that behavior doesn't just end.
4 other bills haven't moved at all for months. One would explicitly say if a school employee sends or has any sexual action and communication with a student, it would be punished under Kentucky's rape and sodomy statutes. Another overhauls the state teacher license board's rules on misconduct. KYA says they are grateful to see progress being made, but recognize that the battle against these kinds of crimes isn't over yet.
Sometimes good legislation takes time. Oftentimes we want things to move faster as well, but we also want to get it right.
Well, the governor has not yet signed or vetoed either House Bill 4 or House Bill 253. The session ends soon, and advocates say every bill that doesn't cross the finish line this year is another year that students go without these protections. Meredith Lee, Wave News.